Anyways, but there was a big thing happened a few days ago, which is the signing or the announcing of the Gaza deal. So, we'll try to stay hopeful. But on Thursday, July 30th, Trump announced that the Board of Peace had reached agreement on the complete disarmament of Hamas and a phased Israeli withdrawal from Gaza. The roadmap was brokered by Egypt, Qatar, Turkey, and the US, and Hamas announced that it's going to dissolve its own governing body on July 9th. And they're going to be a transitional body. And Tony Blair is leading this, which I don't know, that's,
I didn't know about Tony Blair. That's news. Okay.
I mean, let's double check. I read that somewhere. Let's just double check.
Okay,
But
no.
that's
Nicholas Madledov is a key person, and he's the one who's been trying to work out with all the parties, including the Israelis. Look, let's take it back a few weeks ago.
okay.
Right before Netanyahu went to Washington, there was a question whether he will meet Trump. And then all of a sudden they announced, yes, he will meet Trump. It turns out that President Trump had conditioned the meeting with Netanyahu that Israel allows 200 of the international force to enter Gaza.
Okay.
Now, the cabinet met a day before, the night before he left, and approved 200 international safekeeping force to enter Gaza. Then he went to go to Washington, attended the funeral of Lindsey Graham. Then they allowed him into the side door into the White House, and then he returned. By the time he returned, it seems that Hamas had accepted a big compromise. They accepted that they agreed to totally disarm over a 1-year period. And they have learned from Ireland, when the Irish and the British were fighting, how to resolve this problem. And so the details of the agreement is very, very interesting, Natasha. First part of the agreement is that Israel had actually extended its rule in Gaza from 50% of Gaza to 60%. So before anything happens, Israel has to go back to the yellow line that they had created, and then things can go on. Second thing is, for every step, there will be a reciprocal step. So when the Palestinian Hamas gives up some of its weapons, Israelis withdraw, let's say 5%, and so on. Now, the big question is what happens to these rockets and the weapons. And so, again, the example of Ireland is that they put them in warehouses and lock them. Okay, so they said, because Hamas said, we will only give our weapons to a fellow Palestinian group, the Palestinian Authority, the new 15-member technocratic committee, but we will only give the weapons the keys to the warehouse to a Palestinian side. So they agreed. The technocratic committee will hold the keys once the weapons are submitted. Now, Israel has went crazy. No, we're not going to withdraw. We don't accept it. We only will withdraw when Hamas gives up all its weapons, including its personal weapons. Nobody's crazy to give up every single weapon, because we saw what happened in Sabra and Shatila when Palestinians gave up all their weapons. Another force came in and killed a lot of people. So, but Netanyahu has yet to speak. The Israeli government, sources in the Israeli government, the Minister of Defense spoke, but Netanyahu is yet to speak. But unfortunately, what has happened is that the army, feeling that their days of killing Palestinians is going to be over, because one of the conditions was that Israel stops assassinating Palestinian leaders from Hamas or whatever. Of course, they kill children as well as the Hamas people. But since this morning, the morning of the 3rd of August, 14 Palestinians have been killed. Okay, so Israel is trying to kill as many Palestinians as possible before this agreement takes force. And once it takes force, then there will be reciprocal steps. The 15-member committee is yet to enter Gaza. The 200 soldiers from apparently Morocco, Nepal, and other countries have yet to enter. the Israeli took a decision that they can enter, but the decision is conditional on two signatures: the prime minister and the minister of defense. They have to approve their entry. So while the cabinet approved in principle,
Hmm.
the entry has not been, they have not been entered. And basically, it's very important because this international force is going to be the buffer between Israel and Palestinians. And it's going to be the side that is monitoring everybody's adherence to the agreement and so on and so forth.
And where is the Palestinian Authority in all of this? I mean, they were
The
not part.
Palestinian Authority is persona non grata by Netanyahu. He doesn't like them. He doesn't want a two-state solution, but they cannot totally ignore them. If you remember the 20-point plan that was submitted and became a Security Council resolution, item 19 says, once the Palestinian Authority makes all the reforms that it has promised to carry out, then there could be a process towards some kind of self-determination. It's kind of very vague. Now, the Palestinian Authority has done everything that they promised. They have stopped giving money to the families of prisoners. They've had municipal elections. They announced the 28th of November parliamentary elections. They said that first quarter of 2027 there will be presidential elections. So they're carrying out everything that they promised. Now, of course, the Israelis and some of the Americans are saying, no, they didn't really carry out exactly what they said. It's true, they stopped giving money to the families, but they're giving money in an indirect way. And, they're trying to delegitimize the Palestinian Authority. But what's important in this recent plan, the 15-point plan, is that the law of the land in Gaza will be the Palestinian law. So the Palestinian law of the Palestinian Authority will be the law of the land, and the judges and so on will be carrying out. Another thing that is in the favor of Hamas is that the existing police, or the police existed during Hamas's rule, could be trained and could become part of the Palestinian police running Gaza. Of course, still there are a lot of other issues that have not been carried out. For example, Israel has not allowed heavy machines to enter to unearth a lot of the buildings that fell, and sometimes some people are buried under them. They've still not allowed all the 600 trucks a day to enter into Gaza humanitarian. They allowed 800 out of the 60,000 prefabricated homes they promised to allow. So there's a lot of conditions that the Israelis have not carried out. The big question is, in your capital city, will Trump put pressure on Israel to carry out? Now, the fact that he went public with it is a sort of pressure, because it says, we agree to it, now you have to pressure. Will they pressure? We don't know.
So Hamas will no longer run Gaza based on this? What would the
Hamas
be?
already decided, Natasha, Hamas already decided the technocratic committee made up of 15 people, headed by Ali Shad, will be governing Gaza.
Okay.
But they have not entered. So they have not been able to, transfer authority to them. So there's no, and people, you don't want vacuum. So they've already announced the Hamas is no longer interested in governing Gaza. They agreed to give the power to the new authority, 15-person authority. But they're still stuck in Egypt. Israel has yet to allow them in. And Israel said, we will allow them in when the Hamas is totally disarmed, which is like, it will take a year to do that.
Well, are you optimistic about this plan? Because we've seen many plans before, and then, ceasefire is not respected, and a new settlement here, a new settlement there. I don't know. I mean, how are you optimistic? Is there a reason to stay optimistic with what's happening?
Natasha, since 1967, when Israel occupied Gaza and the West Bank, there has never been any armed force other than the Israelis separating the occupiers from the occupied. Okay? There's never been that. So for the first time, now the cabinet approved the principle. They still have not entered. Once 200 and more armed foreigners entered to basically create a buffer between Israel and the Palestinians, then I can answer your question that I am or I'm not optimistic. So if they enter, you can cross this that I'm optimistic. If they don't enter, then I'm not optimistic.
So it all depends on Netanyahu's approval.
Yes, absolutely.
Would
He's the only one. Now, you know that he has elections coming up.
yeah.
Israel is having elections in 27th of October, which is 2 months away. And Netanyahu is trying his best to appear tough. And already his opponent has said Netanyahu has already given up. He's not tough. He's already compromised, accepted the American compromise. So his opponents are basically accusing him of having surrendered to Hamas or to whatever. But the question, what, Natasha, I want to talk about one question that is holding things up. It's in one word: trust. Israel says they don't trust the Palestinians, and the Palestinians don't trust the Israelis.
Correct. Yeah.
But if we look at since October last year, when they made a ceasefire, until now, how many Israelis have been killed in Gaza? 0. How many Palestinians have been killed? 1,400. Among them, 250 children, according to UNICEF. So the fact is that if anybody doesn't trust the other side, it's the Palestinians, because they have absolutely lived up to every single point in the ceasefire agreement, while the Israelis have been daily violating it. Not only have they killed the Palestinians, but they also extended their control from the yellow line, which they created on the 50% of Gaza. Now they control 60% of Gaza. This was a unilateral decision decided by Israel after the Security Council approved Trump's 20-point plan.
So what was their excuse? But what was the excuse for killing the Palestinians? That they were like Hamas terrorists and they were defending themselves? And because there's always an excuse for doing that.
I tell you what the Israeli excuse is. Israel says before October 7th, we were nice to Hamas. We allowed money to go into Hamas, and they tricked us. So now that they're quiet, they're just basically regrouping because they're weak and so on. And once we take off the pressure, they'll, kill us again or something to that effect. So, okay, that's their point. Fine, let the international force enter into Gaza to ensure that every point in the agreement is being held, every promise of decomposition and disarming Hamas is lived up to. Every promise by Hamas that they will turn over governance of Gaza to the 15-member committee is adhered to. That's why there's an international force. In the history of the world, ceasefires succeed when two things happen. One, if there is monitoring, if there is an external group monitoring that they are being respected. And two, when there is a peace process or there is a political process to address the root causes of the conflict. Now, on number one, if they allow international forces, yes, they will, things will be okay. But on the other, no, they're not. I mean, we don't see any movement towards the peace process.
So I
wonder if Natasha, we were supposed to have a deputy ambassador, deputy Palestinian Foreign Minister.
Yeah.
He says he sent us a message. Did you get
Is
a
he
message
joining?
from him?
Is he joining us?
He's trying to.
No, I haven't heard from him yet. But
okay. So we'll have to do him another day.
Yeah, maybe another time. I was reading your Substack post about the Gaza agreement, and you said something about Trump pressuring Netanyahu, and because Trump is very popular in Israel now, Netanyahu would be worried about
to go against
upset Trump. So do you think just Netanyahu is gonna approve the plan just to appease Trump so that he can win the elections?
Netanyahu is stuck. Okay, If he approves the plan, he's going to be clobbered in the elections. If he doesn't approve the plan, he's going to be clobbered by the Americans. So he has to decide uh, which he's going to get beating up more by his own people in the elections or by Trump. I'm afraid that he will choose being clobbered by Trump rather than being clobbered in the elections. The elections and the victory in elections is his only way out of jail. You know, the Israeli court has listened to thousands and thousands of hours about his corruption case. Everyone knows that he is guilty. And if they make a decision and he's not prime minister, he goes to jail. If he's in prime minister, they'll have to wait until he's out of jail, out of prime minister. So he needs to be a prime minister so that he doesn't go to jail. Now, there's three things that can happen in the elections.
Okay.
Either he can form a 61 or more coalition. His opponents can create a 61 or more coalition, or neither one or two happens, and then he stays as acting prime minister until another election happens in 6 months. So his goal right now is either to win, which doesn't look very well, or to ensure that no coalition is created. Now, the one way to stop a coalition being created is by playing up what is called the Zionist plan. What's the Zionist plan? Is that any government in Israel should not have any non-Zionists. Now, most polls show that his opponents can have between 56 and 59 members, which means they have to make a coalition with one of the Arab parties, okay, which has 4 or 5. But one of the Arab parties is not a Zionist party. So he's going to be attacked as creating a government that doesn't depend totally on Zionists. Now, history shows that it happened already before. Rabin had created a government depending on Arab parties before signing the Oslo Accord. So there is, a precedent, but the coalition could be one of two things. They can be members of the government, or they can stay out of the government, but promise not to bring down the government. They call it a minority government. So the opposition wants in all ways to ensure that there will not be a stalemate. If there's a stalemate, Netanyahu stays in power.
But does Israel have like an official definition of what a Zionist is? I mean, Zionist is a person who believes in the creation of the state of Israel,
and the right of the Jewish people to have a homeland.
But isn't that everyone is in the parliament?
Arab parties and the one party that might join him actually is an Islamic party. Does not believe in Zionism, and they're Arabs. They're not Jews, and they don't believe in the right. They will give lip service to the government, but they will allow a government to exist so that it can resolve some of the problems in Palestine, some of the criminality going on in Israel among Arabs and so on. So they're saying we don't need to take a position on whether we're Zionist or not. This is actually a racist attempt. In fact, Gershon Baskin, an Israeli, said, I'm against the Zionist government. I'm for an Israeli government. So the idea of Israel being the country for its citizens, whether Arabs or Jews, is much more a democratic agreement rather than Israel being a government for only the Jews or run by only the Jews.
Interesting. Okay. So in the midst of all of that, the West Bank is
blowing up
with settler attacks, and they're actually increasing dramatically. What is going on, and what is the Palestinian Authority doing about it? What is the U.S. doing about it? What is happening is appalling. Nobody's stopping them. The numbers is staggering, and I'm not even sure that people in the U.S. know about what's happening in the West Bank in terms of settler violence. I haven't seen much about it. Nobody's talking about it. Is the media even reporting about it extensively? I've seen like reports here and there by CNN, but it's not a hot topic these days. Why? Since it's terrifying. So what's your
Well,
view?
you know what they say: if it bleeds, it leads. And I think the Americans are more interested in Iran war. They're
Okay.
probably more interested in Ukrainian war. Every day also Ukrainians are being killed or Russians, and it's they cover it. So the idea that one or two Palestinians are killed in the West Bank or a farm is being burned is not doesn't reach the top news. I mean, even in Gaza, as I told you, 14 Palestinians were killed this morning in Gaza. Let's see if that's even covered in the U.S. and American and Western press. They might cover the peace effort rather than the number of Palestinians. It might be like paragraph 17 in the New York Times story. But so I think what is happening is the settlers, and the extremists in Israel, they carry out small attacks, but every single day. It
Mm.
doesn't rise up to being a big story. Whereas when the Palestinians do something like October 7th or something, the big story. So, I don't know what they want. They want many
But
more Palestinians to be killed for. The BBC actually did an interview, CNN or the BBC, with an Israeli lawyer, settler, who said for every Palestinian killed, we have to kill, for every Israeli that is killed, we have to kill 1 million Palestinians. So that's
mm,
the ratio that they are saying. And every day, also something that also Americans should know, there's settlements in the Beit Sahur area. There is a settlement called Rosh al Ghurab, and that's being extended and expanded against the interest of the Palestinians, against international law. But again, Israel can get away with many things, either because Trump is more interested in getting Netanyahu to help him end the Iran war, or because they can't go against Netanyahu or whatever. But there's too many things going on, and the media is sucked up to the big issues. But yes, the situation in Gaza
the
and the
West
West
Bank.
Bank and Jerusalem is really, really bad.
I mean, if you look at the numbers, I'm looking at the numbers now. They're pretty scary. I mean, you have 1,000 settler attacks in 2026 alone across 230 communities, averaging six attacks a day. That is the highest pace on record. Um, like if you look at these numbers, they're scary. If you have six attacks a days by settler, that's not a one-off thing. It's kind of a
Exactly.
planned.
No, there's
It's a planned strategy. It's not
and
something
they're
that
all
one.
protected by the Israeli army. They are army protected settlers. They would never do this, what they've done, without knowing that the army protects them and that the army will not, hold them accountable. They know they'll get immunity. They'll get, they will get a pardon. Nothing will happen to them.
And then there was 68 Palestinian kills in the West Bank. That's not in Gaza in 2026.
Yeah.
As of July 19th, at least 13 by settlers, and six Palestinian children killed and 187 injured in 2026, and 1,500 children displaced by recurrent settler attacks. So, did
Can I
Netanyahu
change the
say?
subject? Can we
Yeah,
change the
yeah,
subject?
yeah.
You have
I'm just
elections.
baffled. I'm just baffled by these numbers and how there's. I mean, it's as I said, it's a plan, it's a strategy, and no one is stopping them. It's just baffling, honestly. But yeah, we can change the subject. Something more positive,
What's happening
maybe.
tomorrow? What's happening? Michigan. What's happening in
Ah,
Michigan?
yeah. There's elections tomorrow. Yeah, and what is happening? You've been following. Tell me. I can't keep up. Honestly, tell me what's happening in Michigan.
Well, there's an American of Egyptian origin, Abdul Said, running against a mainstream Democrat who's been extremely well funded. I mean, like $60 million of funding for primary in the Democratic. It's very unusual by APAC. And so apparently the polls show that he's doing well and he might win tomorrow. But the question that everybody is trying to ask is whether he can also win in the general elections against Republicans. And so, but
He's
I
Egyptian
think
American.
it's clearly the Egyptian, Abdul Said.
And he's backed by APAC? Is that what you
No,
said?
his opponent
Ah,
is
his
his
opponent.
opponent.
Ah, okay, you confused me.
He's
Ah, okay.
no. His opponent is backed by APAC.
Okay.
He's raised $8 million from individuals, whereas she's raised like $80 million, among them 60 million from APAC. So, but it seems that nevertheless, his latest poll show him 15 points ahead. And now apparently a lot of the money is going to go into video things, video ads in today and I don't know tomorrow, but today basically, and yesterday. And so we'll see. A lot of people are looking at it not only on the Michigan, because if he wins in the general, he will be the first Muslim that enter into the Senate, not the Congress. And you know the Senate is a 6-year term. So it will be very interesting to see an American of Muslim origin, Muslim American, running and being a member of the U.S. Senate. That would be really interesting.
So talking about APAC, what what is their strategy now that they're losing all their backed candidates? Are they changing tactics? Are they? I mean, it's they're on a losing streak here. What is going on? Like, what are they thinking? Do you know anything? What is their plan now? Is they're just losing all their candidates? So what's their next step?
We should get James Dobie or somebody like that on our
Yeah,
next
yeah,
program.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I worked with James actually.
But
Yeah.
but and my daughter was an intern. Next week we have the head of the tourism committee in the Jordanian Senate, Michel
Bishal Nazal.
Nazal.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he will be with us to talk about tourism, about Jordan, about Christian tourism. So if you're listening for the first time or second time, especially Rose, thank you, Rose, for being with us. Please tune in next week at 7 p.m.
By the way, Rose is a paid subscriber, so this is
Thank you, Rose.
this is a special shout out to Rose. Thank you for
We're getting a
all
lot of feedback, Natasha. I'm seeing a lot of comments on YouTube
on
and
YouTube.
on
Yeah,
Substack.
yeah,
And
we're getting a
so
lot of
thank you for
feedback.
those comments. Keep them
Yeah.
coming. We'll try our best to answer you.
Yeah, and thank you again, Rose, for your support. And for anyone who's interested, I mean, we give these shows all for free, because we want to raise awareness. But if you want to support our costs, we would welcome that. You can become a paid subscribers, and we are happy to give you 1 hour of our time, answer any of your questions, in addition to give you access to our Rolodex. Any contacts you want in the Middle East, especially Dawood, he
All
has
my contacts, all
all
my
his contacts,
emails and phone
exactly.
numbers of people that you might want to talk to. I'll try my best to, be helpful to anyone who is interested in the Middle East and the entire Levant. We have a lot of contacts here. And if you're interested in this area, you have to be a paid subscriber. And maybe if you're not, that still might help you. But,
Yeah.
but please be a paid subscriber.
Yeah, and also if you miss this, we have recorded. You get it in your email when you free subscriber as well, and we're also on YouTube if you prefer the YouTube format. And so next week we have a big guest. We're excited. We're going to talk about tourism. Maybe we can bring more tourism to the region, convince them to come, but we'll see.
End the war in Iran, and then things will improve.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks everyone for joining us, and thanks Rose again, and thank you Dawood and everyone, and we will see you next week, same time, and happy Monday, everyone. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.